Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is 2 o'clock and I would like to call to order the Board of Water Commissioners June meeting and its annual meeting. And can we please call the roll?
Chairman Einhauser,
Present.
Vice Chair Blackman,
Present.
Commissioner Coleman,
Present.
Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Kenlock,
Present.
Commissioner Garcia is excused but plans to join us, and Commissioner Forte is absent. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
All right, we have a quorum. We have a quorum present. Next is the approval of the agenda. And I would like to suggest a slight amendment to the agenda. And when we met last time and talked about the bylaws, we laid the bylaws on the table. And I would like to suggest that we leave them there. And the reason I want to suggest that is I have a number of questions that I think we should talk about together and go over with legal counsel. Specifically, I'm very puzzled about the experiences or whether the qualifications we have. It's my sense the mayor can appoint whoever he or in the future she wants. The other question has to do with terms, because the mayor doesn't pay attention to the terms anymore. When we say so-and-so's term is up, he said, well, they're going to stay there till I appoint somebody else. So I think I just have some questions, whether that's a holdover from the consent judgment. It says 5 out of 7 need to be Detroiters. I think 7 out of 7 need to be Detroiters. So what I'd like to suggest, colleagues and council, is we have a special meeting in executive session to get legal advice, and we look at those things a little bit more carefully.
Okay, the answers are very, very simple, actually, so,
Okay.
but I'm happy to
Yeah,
advise you.
let's do that. And so without objection, what is your pleasure regarding the agenda as presented? Commissioner Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the agenda with the suggested deletion.
All right, is there support? Any other discussions, additions or deletions to the agenda for today?
Mr. Chair, we will be setting a special session for setting the rates,
Okay,
probably next Wednesday or the Wednesday after. We could also set the closed session on the
All right.
bylaws for that day as well, if
let's
you'd
do
like.
that. Let's do that.
And if you'd like to submit your questions in writing in advance, I can be ready for you.
Very good.
All right.
All right, any other additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is adopted. Approval of the minutes of May the 18th, 2022. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of minutes.
It's been moved
Support.
and seconded. Any corrections to the minutes? All right, on the minutes as presented, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is adopted. Next, we move to the election and approval of officers. What is your pleasure? I guess we're looking at the office of the chair.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Kinlock.
I would like to, nominate Michael Eisenhower as the chair, or am I doing that right? Okay, yes, as chair, and,
In form, it's correct. I don't know if in substance.
oh,
it's
right.
correct.
Oh, right, okay. And also, Mary Blackman is vice chair, and who is the secretary? Who did we elect?
That, we're,
We have that, that's going to be handled later.
Okay,
yeah, we have to decide if we want the secretary to be a third office.
okay.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And those officers are elected. And I just want to say, I appreciate the vote of confidence. I think this is the 6th year that you've made me the chair. And Mary Blackman and I were talking, she was talking about a school board member who expects to be the president of that school board for life,
Until they leave this earth.
leave this earth.
Until they're no longer on the board, let me put it that way.
I have no such ambitions, but thank you very much. Thank you very much for your vote of confidence. And and kidding aside, this is a very congenial collegial board.
Absolutely.
One of the most collegial boards I've ever dealt with. And so it's a pleasure to be a part of the board and I'm happy to be the chair.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Blackman.
may I echo those same comments? I appreciate very much that the board has decided to retain me as vice chair. I wasn't here in time but I support. Thanks. Thank you very much.
All right, then. Next, we move to, thank you. Adopting the schedule for board meetings. What is your pleasure?
Move to approve the meeting schedule for 2022 and 2022-23.
Second,
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
I
Aye.
Those opposed?
have a question. everybody.
Yes.
So people who want to see our meeting schedule for the year, go to our website, they go to Legistar, where do they
Go
go?
to Legistar, right?
They
And
go
I
to
think
Legistar?
Yes, they go to Legistar to receive, and I think they put it on our website too. We have to check with Public Affairs.
Do we have anybody here from Public Affairs? Okay. I was just thinking, making it easier so they will know how to
Right.
check our meetings.
All right.
Thank you.
And then next item D is the appointment of a board secretary. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to nominate John Henry Davis as our board secretary for July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
All right, it's been moved and supported. We should note, and particularly Marion needs to know,
Mr. Davis.
the bylaws say that the secretary is a member of the board, but that we have the discretion to delegate that to a staff
Member.
person.
Mhm.
And I think it's appropriate for us to have 3 officers instead of 2, but that does not change Marion's status or duties or anything of the sort. So with that understanding, and apropos of our earlier discussion, any one of us could step off the curb and the bus not stop, and having someone third in line also makes sense. So
I don't particularly appreciate that analogy, but okay.
I spent over 30 years writing estate plans and talked about that all the time with my clients.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Then all those in favor of the election of John Henry Davis as Secretary of the Board, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is adopted.
Congratulations.
All right, now we'll do public comment, and I have a request from Michael Shane, is it? Mr. Shane, please come forward. Good afternoon, sir.
DWSB Board. I was here a few months ago. We submitted a memo regarding lead contamination in residential water on the west side of Detroit. And I appreciate the follow-up meeting that happened within about 5 days where GLEWA engineers met with me and my son. Since then, however, we haven't gotten a written response yet from the board. At the last meeting, you promised my son that the memo would be coming. It should have arrived about 10 days ago. We're still waiting on it. I did get a call from Mr. Fielder, who I consider Mr. David Fielder, who's very professional, regarding, I think, another matter. He said a letter is going to be coming. I don't think that's the same letter that the board promised in response to the memo from myself and my son. So I'm still waiting on it. I'm still very concerned about lead being detected in residential water. But I have another concern. Since then, I've started looking into how things are done in this city. And it's my understanding that when you remove or do any work on a lead line on either side or on the stop box, isn't it true that the lead line must be removed? Isn't that a regulation in the state of Michigan? And if so, I would like to know how I can find out what the procedure is and if a permit's needed, and if you have a list of all the permits that have been granted in the last few years for stop box removal. My concern is it's related to lead in the water. If you have Homrich shutting off people's water supplies, and you have Fomrich also tearing down blighted properties, do they give permits to themselves to remove the stop boxes? Do they remove the lead lines on either side of the stop box? How is all this done? And I'm very curious because we're finding lead all across the city. We're finding lead in the school system, and it would seem that something's not being done right. Anyway, if I could get these answers, or do I have to FOIA this information?
Hello, Mr. Shane. We have your comments here on the record, and we will turn that into a memo to you and the board outlining all the details and responding to your questions. There's no need for you to submit a separate FOIA. That's okay.
Okay, and what about the memo that was, I think Mr. Brown said that he would send it to Mr. Shane and Mr. Shane. We're still waiting on that memo. It was supposed to arrive on the same day that Rashida Tlaib took a congressional delegation through my neighborhood and stopped at my house and my son's house to find out about lead in the water. I thought maybe you were trying to head off that delegation coming to my house. So why didn't I get the memo?
We would have no reason to,
Okay, but why didn't I get the memo?
nobody tells Rashida what to do.
Mr. Smalley, are you on the meeting? Can you respond as to when Mr. Shane will get the memo that had been promised prior to this?
Yeah, Sam Smalley, Chief Operating Officer. A memo / informational letter was written to the Shanes and everyone else who is scheduled to have their lead service line replaced. That memo has been halted due to supply chain issues within the industry in obtaining the copper. So our contractors and warehouse and engineers are scrambling to find enough materials so that we can begin our lead service line replacement contracts that have been awarded by the board. And we expect that to happen still this summer. So that letter to the Shanes and everyone else who is on the list to have their lead service line replaced is on hold temporarily.
Okay, well, then that must be why Mr. Fielder called me today. It's the same memo. I didn't realize that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have a request from Mr. Miko Williams. Mr. Williams? Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, Board of Water Commissioners. How are you all today on this hot day? I just wish that we all stay hydrated and hopefully that, we can all work together to make sure that the city stays hydrated and cool. I do have a few concerns that I would like to present. Some of them aren't bad, but some of them are worthy to be looked at. Number one is about, I've been having calls at Hydrate Detroit about water main breaks and residents without water for about 2 days or so, and they're looking for emergency water. I just want to let it be known on the record that Hydrate Detroit, we stopped delivering water in COVID-19 due to the water shutoff moratorium for people that have water, but also if there is work being performed in the area and residents didn't have any idea or a notice or a phone call that there's work being done and they have low water pressure or no water pressure at all, that has to be communicated. It has to do a better job of communication. We do not provide emergency water, but I have been giving water anyway and just be meeting them. Another thing I want to bring up is your participation in these conversations of water affordability and access. Right now, we are currently underway in talks, Mr. Brown, the water advocates, Hydrate Detroit and such, we have been having conversations about the Lifeline block rates. Everything is sounding good, but we have to come together as a water summit. I proposed this at the beginning of the year, sometime last year. I kept saying we should have a water summit, the Board of Water Commissioners, DWSD Brass, Hydrate Detroit, all the water activists and advocates of Detroit, Wayne Metro, let's all come together in one big room and let's talk these issues out so we all can be on the same page. There is a strong level of distrust within the city of Detroit about the water department. And also, we appreciate here at Hydrate Detroit of the water department wanting to work with us, wanting to give us an opportunity to reach out to more, but we respectfully decline that offer. Hydrate Detroit, we have our own communication. I could just turn on the Detroit Water Brigade and 90,000 people in the city of Detroit will get my message. That's how many followers that we have and counting. So I want to make sure that we all work together, that we communicate, we have open dialogue. I know some of this is complex, it may be hard, but together we can make it. Together we all can make it. And the people listening on the Zoom in the city of Detroit, we all need to come together and we need to work with each other. It's not one against all, it's all of us. We are all neighbors and we deserve affordable water at a price we all can pay, but we also deserve access, unlimited access to water at an affordable price we all should pay. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
I also think Director Brown unmuted himself. I think he wanted to comment.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I want to thank Hydrate Detroit for responding to our request to meet and begin the conversation of walking through how the advocates can be more beneficial in getting the message out. So there's a second meeting on Friday at 11 o'clock with some additional water advocates. And that's the question that we're asking. How can our water advocates support our effort? What does that look like? What do they need from us to be able to support our effort and so forth? So as the board knows, at our next meeting or at a special meeting, we'll be coming in asking for the new rates for next year and outlining to the board the program. We're still designing it. And what's, I know it may seem like it's taking a long time, but we are trying to get as much input from the community as possible. We got a great response today from Wayne State University and the Sugar Law Firm and other advocates to meet on Friday to give us some additional information so that when we bring it to our board, we can honestly say that we've taken the input from the water advocates and incorporated it into the plan. So thank you very much, D'Amico, for being willing to work with us.
And Mr. Williams, to your question about whether the board should be involved in that, I'm perfectly willing to come to that meeting, and I'm sure an open invitation to other board members. We just can't have a quorum there. But certainly we have 3 officers that are very interested, and so we'll get personally involved.
Thank you.
I mean, and Director Brown's doing a fine job, but we'll get involved. All right, any comments or questions? Is there anyone else from the public who would like to address the board?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Tiffany Jones will read the standard announcement to help people calling in by phone or Zoom to make their public comment. Go
All
ahead,
right,
Tiffany.
Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you are on the phone or online and would like to make a comment, please raise your hand by using the raise hand icon on your desktop or mobile device. If you are calling in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. If you are online or on the phone, after your name is called, you will have permission to unmute. In order to begin speaking, however, you will have to unmute yourself. To do so, press the unmute button, which is the microphone icon, if you're online, or *6 if you are calling in. As a reminder, you will have a limit of 3 minutes to make your comment, and please pay close attention to the timer that will indicate your remaining time. We kindly request that if you are online, that you fill out the comment card link that's in the chat. By filling out this card, we will have your contact information to follow up appropriately, so you do not have to air your personal address and phone number. You can put that in the link. You will only be called upon once, and once the chair closes the public comment, there will be no other comments from the public, and all attendees will remain muted for the duration of the meeting. I turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Ms. Patrice?
Our first speaker will be Cecily McClellan.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Cecily McClellan. I am a representative of We the People of Detroit. And in terms of water affordability, as I have discussed in past, we don't need to start at from the ground level. In 2005, water affordability was presented to the City Council and DWSD through Roger Colton, who we recognize as an expert in water affordability. The program that was adopted was not a true water affordability program. It was income-based and it was based at 200% of poverty. It had a fixed rate that residents were allowed to pay for an entire year. And that was a benefit that is different from what we have with the RAP program, where you're paying a rate just based on what your bill is. We need a affordability program that is permanent and that is based on the income of the residents of the city of Detroit. As is well known, over the past 20 years, Detroit's rates have increased astronomically. A study done by the University of Michigan shows that the state of Michigan rates increased by 100% and Detroit rates increased by 285%. But as the director has stated, in 2020, Detroit rates in actuality have increased by 437%. That is not sustainable, and no one can afford to pay those rates, and that's not just low income persons. I am curious about the Lifeline program. The Lifeline program appears to be basing the rate or the discount on usage. And I think that conservation, and we believe conservation is very important, but conservation can be impacted by the number of persons in your household. And we believe that income should be the driving force. Conservation should be a consideration, but not the driving force in developing a water affordability program. So it is our hope that the model that was presented by Roger Colton be the example of Detroit. That same model was implemented by Baltimore and Philadelphia. We were in the forefront of creating water affordability here in the city of Detroit in 2007. So we should design a program that is truly income-based, not assistance, and not just based on consumer usage. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. McClellan. And I'm going to suggest, as we prepare for the summit or whatever we're going to call it, a gathering of the community, that people do some homework. They should probably read the report of the Blue Ribbon Committee that looked at water affordability a couple of years ago. It's a very good report. There were all of the interests were at the table. And then I'm going to give you a little harder homework. Everyone should read the Michigan Supreme Court opinion of Bolt versus Lansing. And you don't have to be a lawyer to read a Supreme Court opinion, but those knowledge of the content of those two documents, I think, are very important for us to have our discussions on affordability going forward. Okay. Mr. Jermaine Payne. Good afternoon, Mr. Payne.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I appreciate y'all giving me the chance to speak. I have a direct message to Commissioner Kinlock, as well as the board. Mr. Commissioner Kinlock, last month, when I came to the water board meeting, I thought though you stepped out of place when you were referring to my issue about getting my issue off the table. And I felt a little bit disrespected because, first of all, I didn't ask for anybody to cut the water off at my house. And I didn't ask the land bank to sell me any houses without a water line. So when you refer to a citizen of this city as it or get this business off our table, you offended me.
Mr. Payne?
Hold on.
No, you hold on. You're out of order when you make personal comments about members of this board. If you would like to tell us your grievance, we want to hear it.
Okay.
But you do not make personal comments about members of this commission.
Okay, so as we've been dealing with my situation at my particular property, it has been a very frustrating situation because I have continuously taken off time from work. I have talking to just about every director at the water department, including this board. And it is a very slow progress, but it's been almost 2.5 years that I don't have any water in my house. And if you are in my situation, you should understand that empathy should be given in this time because it's the time of when you are frustrated and you're going through something and people are just basically listening to you, but nothing has been resolved. I understand that there's a list and I understand that it's a process going through that list, but it shouldn't take me 3 years to get me water on in my property, especially when I'm already going through agreement with the land bank trying to take my property from me. I have children just as well as other people on the list that have children. My children do not stay with me because I don't want to put my daughter in that type of situation where she can live in a house with no water. That's not the type of father that will be doing that to their child. So I heard this board tell me, well, Mr. Payne doesn't have children. He doesn't have a family. He doesn't live in a house. You guys don't know my personal life. So that is an assumption. So I would ask that the board really put pressure on the people that is involved in this situation to really look into why is it taking so long for me to get water on? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Kinlock.
first of all, I would like to apologize to Mr. Payne for a misunderstanding. When I said get this issue off the table, I was speaking to the fact of trying to have staff to address his concern because he's come to us. We're not here on a day-to-day basis. We have staff that deal with the concerns and issues that are brought to us. You've come to us time and time again. I was saying to have staff to address your issue and to take extraordinary measures to address that. Then staff gave us a response as it relates to that. It was not meant to offend you. It was more so to do exactly what you requested, to light urgency under staff. But it has been brought to our attention that staff has been trying to work with this issue and that the director is in touch with you and the staff is also trying to find ways to address your concerns. So I apologize for the misunderstanding.
Mr. Chair, our next speaker is in on the telephone. The last 3 numbers of the phone number are 299.
Does the individual
Yes,
whose phone, oh, you're here?
I'm here. Yes,
Tell
I'm
us your
here.
name,
Thank you very
please.
much. My name is Joyce Moore with the Virginia Park Community Coalition within the boundaries of the Virginia Park community. And I'm here in regard to several issues that I'd like to present to you, please. One of them is we're trying to figure out why we have the American Water Resource in terms of a water line and a sewer line protection plan, when I thought, to my understanding, we had $410 million left to help with, excuse me, residential problems regarding the water lines. And maybe if I can get written clarity on that, I would really appreciate it. My email address is 1208morej@gmail.com. That's my first concern. My second concern is the sinkholes in the alleys. We're getting those sinkholes in the alleys due to the fact that contractors that tore down houses through demolition clearly did not cap off those lines. Now we have sinkholes. So we're hoping that you're responsible for the repair of those. That needs to be clarified because someone said that we were, and I made it perfectly clear that it is the city of Detroit as well as Detroit Water and Sewage Department's responsibility. And then thirdly, in regard to the grandfather clause for the drainage fee, we have brought that up several times to you, that for those people like myself who have bought our vacant lots way before you came up with the drainage fee, we should be grandfathered in and not have to pay that $22 fee. But we have not heard anything from you in regard to that. So therefore, we're hoping that that $410 million that ARPA allowed you, that you put toward any repairs to residential drainage lines from their homes to the alley. I yield my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, our next speaker is Tisha Turner.
Ms. Turner?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I have a concern. I've been calling the water company for a month due to flooding in my basement. I called out 2 plumbers on my own expense just to see if it was something I could resolve. The plumber said that it's something on the water company end. I have 3 children in my home, which have all been hospitalized due to the flooding in my basement because that is causing mold. I have no hot water in my home because the flood has ruined my hot water tank, all my appliances. So I was just calling to see what can we do to resolve this issue.
Mr. Chair, is there a way that she could put her
Yeah.
address in the chat so that we can have David Filter go out tomorrow and take a look?
I filled that out already on the link with my email and phone number and everything.
All right,
All
thank
right,
you.
we'll-
We'll be in
we'll-
touch.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Turner.
Mr. Chair, next is Deborah Taylor.
Ms. Taylor?
Hello?
Yes, Ms. Taylor. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, I'm here as a part of We the People of Detroit. And I'm calling, weighing in on the water affordability issue. And I think it's very important that we implement a program that's permanent, that's income-based, that acknowledges the fact that assistance is not a solution, that it is a Band-Aid. And while it does help temporarily, or it can help temporarily, it is not the solution. And that the water department would fare better. And I'm glad to see that there is some movement towards what activists have been working on for the last several decades, actually, to move toward a more equitable solution that will increase revenues for DWSD and will also leave folks with dignity and protect the public health. We, the people of Detroit, along with other activists in the city, has been on this beat for a good 10 years or more. We've done research and we've gone door to door. We've advocated, worked along with other advocates, and it's just very important that finally some relief may be in sight. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to come together and come up with a solution that is a win-win. I concur with everything that Cecily McClellan stated, and I will yield my time at this point. I would also like to say one other thing, is that the Headley Amendment does not preclude a true water affordability plan. And a report by ACLU and Mark Fancher and others does list that out so that we don't use the common narrative that it is against the law and it cannot be done. That is not true. So I wanted to list that disclaimer and suggest that people look at some of the research available on We the People of Detroit's website, wethepeopleofdetroit.com. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Director Brown.
Yeah, thank you. You know, what I've heard so far, we're in agreement. We at least, the water advocates, Ms. Taylor, Ms. McClendon, we want the same thing. And on Friday, I am going to outline a income-based affordability plan. I'm going to outline it, and I'm just asking that everybody keep an open mind. I'm certainly going to come there with an open mind because I'm looking for suggestions or recommendations on how to make the program better so that they will be willing to support it 100%. And I'm sure we're going to get there. But I just ask them to keep an open mind, and we are going to present an income-based affordability plan on Friday.
All right. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, our next speaker is Georgia Crawford Campbell.
All right. And while Ms. Campbell is coming on, I just wanted to let the previous speaker know, I was on your website this week, and you have a publication that I would like to try and access and read. But I'm glad that you are participating, the We the People folks. All right, who's next?
Ms. Campbell. Good afternoon, commissioners.
Good
Appreciate this-
afternoon, Ms. Campbell. Or is it Ms. Crawford?
Crawford Campbell.
Crawford Campbell. Good afternoon, Ms. Campbell.
Yes, I'll be real brief. I represent Winship Community Association where I reside. I'm the community liaison. And my question is primarily related to the lead pipe replacement program. For over 5 years, I know at my residence, DWSW has been testing, come once a year to test the water. I have to take a sample and leave it on the front porch of my water. So they're analyzing the lead supply. And my question is, where is this neighborhood on the list for having lead pipe replacement? I've looked online and I don't see anything. And I've talked to the I've heard from the public relations individual with the water board, and he doesn't respond. But when I listen to his presentation, he says it could be 50 years. And, you know, that wouldn't be my lifetime if I have to wait 50 years. So I don't want another Flint situation here in Detroit. So do we have any kind of plan for where neighborhoods that have some serious lead pipe issues are on the list for replacement anytime in the very, very near future? Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I can answer that. And first of all, let me thank the caller for being willing to be a part of the testing process that we're mandated to do by the federal government on a yearly basis, so that we have a long track record of what's going on at her residence. So I thank her very much for that. And we submitted a plan to the state of Michigan requesting 20 years, not 50 years, but 20 years to complete a citywide purging of the lead service lines. We're currently in the phase where we're assessing exactly how many lines we have. We're working with a company called Blue Conduit so that we can identify the areas of the city that have that are most densely populated with lead service lines. Right now, it is our intent to put 5 contracts out on the street when we receive the money. We haven't received the money yet from the federal government, but it would be our intent that we would put 5 contracts out. Each contract would be worth about $10 million, and that we would identify areas in every district of the city to begin doing this work. But I just want to caution people that while there's been a lot of conversation about Build Back Better and the bipartisan infrastructure law dollars that are coming for lead service lines. The money hasn't gotten here yet. What we do have is $10 million, and we have one contract in place, but we'd like to have 5 to 6 contracts in order to really attack this problem and deal with a minimum of 5,000 lines a year. So as soon as Blue Conduit finishes their study and they're in the last phase of it, and we can identify where the most densely areas of the city are, we will be putting on a map on our website of where the work will begin with a schedule. But we're currently working on that right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, our next speaker is We the People of Detroit.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Victoria Long with you of Detroit.
Could you speak up a little and please tell us your name?
Oh, sure. Is that any better? Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Victoria Long. I am with We the People. I had 2 quick comments, one in regard to water affordability, the other in regards to lead. The first being quick support of Ms. Cecily McClellan and Ms. Deborah Taylor's comments. I also wanted to make note that I will fill out a link that we'll put in the chat so that you may follow up with me for both legal analyses of the Headland versus Lansing made by the Great Lakes Environmental Law Center, other by Mark Fancher of the ACLU, as Deborah Taylor had mentioned. My second comment is on lead. I'm curious to know if it has already been done, or if there's a willingness to on the part of the city or DWSD to be working with state in order to push the EPA to make sure that their drinking water infrastructure needs assessment is fully reflecting the lead and PFAS needs of PFAS burden states like Michigan, so that as Mr. Brown said, you know, we want to get the lead out and we need the correct funding to be able to do that. As it stands right now, the EPA infrastructure needs assessment does not accurately reflect the need to replace the lead in Michigan. So we need to do all that we can, and we are happy to work with the city to make sure that the state is making that request. That is my comment. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, could I just say that I do sit on a advisory committee to the administrator of EPA, and that I will be going to Washington on later this month, June 23rd and 24th, to make those type recommendations that the caller talked about. And if she would leave her contact information in the chat, I'd be more than willing to call her tomorrow to have further discussions on some of what her thoughts are with regards to a request going directly to the administrator of EPA. I'd be more than happy to make that request. I do chair the Water Infrastructure Committee, and I'd be more than happy to get her comments in Washington on the 23rd and 24th. I just need a contact to be able to call her.
All right. Ma'am, can you put your phone number, your contact information, perhaps in the Zoom comments?
Mr. Chair, our next speaker is Tawana Petty.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Petty. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to lift up everything that We the People of Detroit has said. I've witnessed their tireless efforts to the detriment of their health in these efforts for many years. And for the better part of my adult life, I've witnessed activists and organizers attempt to try to get water affordability in the city of Detroit. And it just baffles me that we're in the height of a pandemic and this is still a struggle. Many people that I know and love died of illness in the city of Detroit over the last few years. And so I'm optimistic to hear that there will be an income-based announcement, but what I pray is that it will not be a conflation between assistance and affordability. I've witnessed that time and time again, where we believe that it is going to be affordability and then it is a sleight of hand. And so I am giving faith that the announcement that we're going to receive is taking into consideration the decades-long effort to get true affordability into the hands of the residents of Detroit, who we know are living in ridiculous poverty at a time where inflation is out of control, gas prices out of control, billionaires are being afforded tax abatements at a time where residents can barely keep their water on, their other utilities on, maintain their houses, and other things to just live, medications. And so I really hope that you are hearing the community members who are calling in today, and that the policy that will be implemented is true affordability and not assistance. Thank you. And
Thank
we
you, Ms.
need both.
Betty.
We need both, actually.
All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, our next speaker is Aubrey Ajee.
Yep, that's it. That's correct. I thank you guys for letting me speak today. I really value what everyone else is going through. My story is different. I have a building at 554 Henry Street that I requested the water to be shut off in 2019 of October. And recently, water came into the house. I believe the shutoff box, according to the technician that came out, stated was not functioning properly. And so the entire basement flooded, and we lost all of the furnaces as well as the hot water heaters. I've been working with Gary Watkins and his staff at each step, but at the final step of them coming out and looking at the damaged meter, they have not replied back to me. I filed a claim. I've sent pictures and videos of everything, of the water damage. And I've given a detailed outline of a step-by-step of everything that has occurred. So it's fallen upon deaf ears. The last thing I heard was that the shutoff box is now my problem by the supervisor of the last technician that came out. And that was in May, early May.
Mr. Chair.
Right. Yes, Commissioner Kinlaw.
Okay, Attorney Patrice or the director, can someone look into this?
Yes, Mr. Watkins reports to me, and I'll get an update from him, and we'll update the board and Mr. Ajee.
Thank you.
And can I just indicate to the board that absolutely, when a shutoff that's in the building is not working, and make no mistake about it, the building should have a mechanism to be able to shut the water off inside the building. And when that fails, then we shut it off from the outside. But I don't want anybody to believe that the only way to shut the water off is from the stop box. There should be a shut off. Every home, every building has one that should shut the water off on the inside so a repair could be made, or for any other reason. And then if for some reason that shutoff fails, then in fact, DWSD is the backstop to be able to shut it off from outside.
All
Mr.
right.
Chair, our next speaker is Sonia Brown.
Ms. Brown,
Good afternoon, everyone.
good afternoon,
My-
ma'am.
My question is, I'm still dealing with, since the flood, two of my properties study flooding every time it rains. The sewer out in front of both of those properties bag up every time. Now, the fact that I've known, because I grew up over here on this block, that this block has always flooded. We've always ended up getting someone to come out and they'll pull the little debris out the drain, and a month or two will go by and this little dead end will start to flood again. Now, I know that this is something I've reported to the city, I've reported to the water department, and yet this is something that I still deal with. I've burnt out pumps, I've had furnaces replaced, hot water tanks replaced. How is it the city expect people like myself to try to manage and maintain businesses and or programs through nonprofit organizations when we're dealing with the plight of flooding that's taking place mostly because many of these drains have shifted. A lot of the soil up under these drains, up under these piping systems have shifted, and the water department and the city is made well known of this. Water has caused the soil to erode off from up under. Many of these pipes have eroded, so a lot of times this water has caused the soil and debris to be removed from up under there. So a lot of these pipes and plumbing and piping systems are in bad shapes automatically, which is going to cause a problem with the homes, the businesses, and the remainder properties that the city is saying buy. But what about the problems of the flooding and the water? How are those issues being addressed when you're offering a program that says, oh, pay into this, and from your house to the spigot and from your house to the crock, we'll help you get a repair if we don't find it to be a old repair issue or old plumbing issue? Well, all of that is an old plumbing issue, is it not? I rest.
So, Ms. Brown, could you please put your contact information into the link, and we will get back to you and double check what's going on in your area. And Mr. Chair, next speaker is Norel Hemphill.
Mr. Hemphill?
It's Miss Hemphill. Thank you.
Thank you. My apologies, Ms. Hemphill. Good
No
afternoon.
problem. Good afternoon. My name is Norel Hemphill. I'm the legal fellow at We the People of Detroit and an Equal Justice Works Fellow hosted by Great Lakes Environmental Law Center. I'm so glad that you brought up both the Headley Amendment and BOLT. And for those who want to do more research, just so you know, BOLT is Article 10, the Headley Amendment is Article 10, Sections 25 through 34 of the Michigan Constitution. And I just wanted to echo the words of the powerful women that came before me, Mama Cecily and Mama Deborah of We the People of Detroit, and of course, Victoria Long of We the People of Detroit. Detroit is in dire need of a water affordability plan. Now to BOLT. I just wanted to point out a couple of things in BOLT. So the point of BOLT was to show whether stormwater fee charges were a tax or indeed a fee. And first, let's start. BOLT does give us some really good, robust information about the purpose of the Headley Amendment. And it says that the Headley Amendment grew out of the spirit of tax revolt and was designed to place specific limitations on state and local revenues. The ultimate purpose was to place public spending under direct control. So that's to say the purpose of the Headley Amendment was to place public spending under the control of the people. The Headley Amendment was part of a nationwide taxpayer revolt to limit legislative expansion of requirements placed on local government to put a freeze on what they perceived was excess government spending and to lower their taxes at both the local and state levels. BOLT then goes on to lay out a three-part test to determine whether something is a fee or indeed a tax. A lot of times this case is conflated to mean that, and conflated in hand with the Headley Amendment to mean that we cannot do water affordability because it would be an assessment of a fee, which is incorrect. Moonshot Missions recently published in April of this year, an economic feasibility study across 6 cities in Michigan that shows that economic feasibility, water affordability is indeed viable in Detroit, and it will not indeed be a tax assessed against the people of Detroit. Thank you so much. I yield my time. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hemphill.
Mr. Chair, as General Counsel for DWSD, I can assure everyone, we are not talking about BOLT and Headley on Friday. We are not going to talk about what we can't do because of BOLT and Headley on Friday. We're going to talk about Director Brown's proposed plan, affordability plan, income-based affordability plan, what we think can work for DWSD and our residents. So please come with open hearts, open minds to talk about the plan, not the legalities of the plan. I will be there to learn and listen from all of you, not to debate you on the law. And you have our word on that.
All right. Is there any other citizen that would like to address the Board of Commissioners?
No other citizens have raised their hand, Mr. Chair.
All right. Let me ask one more time. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Mr. Chair, I just like to make one more comment in reference to what Ms. Pospish just said. And could everyone please let's not let perfect be the enemy of the good. There is going to be in my opinion, a lot of good information that's coming out. Will it be perfect? No, but it is certainly going to be a large improvement. And basically, it's going to be what the water advocates have been asking for the last 6 or 7 years. But if we are looking for the perfect, to be the enemy of the good, we won't make a lot of progress. So just as Deb said, open heart, open mind. We all have the same objective. We want to help the citizens of the city of Detroit. And I think that they're going to be more than impressed with what's being proposed.
Mr. Chair, Gwendolyn Bland raised her hand.
All right, Ms. Gland?
Hello, yes. My name is Miss Bland. I have a certain situation here. I'm sorry, I'm just coming in on the end, just getting off the call with the Detroit water sewage. I have been dealing with you guys for going on a year and a half, and I have no results. I have just finished my own self with the plumbing system in my home. And yet and still, I just called and they're like, oh, you have this extravagant bill. Well, I don't understand what is going on for me as a citizen and even just trying to get water within my own home at this time and finishing things that I have done. And I have been patiently waiting, but yet and still, I have thousands and thousands of a bill, and it's even continuously rising to thousands. So I'm just asking, as a citizen of Detroit, to get help myself.
Ms. Bland, could you please put your contact information in the chat link, and we will have someone get back to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, please.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board?
The caller with the last 3 digits, 299, you already spoke, so I'm sorry that we're going to not allow you to speak again.
And is there anyone else?
No, sir.
All right, then we will close public comment. And we will move on to item 7, communications. We have item A, and that is the monthly report on FOIA requests. A motion to receive and file is in order.
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. Are there any questions or comments regarding any of the individual requests? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And that is adopted. Items from the commissioners. Are there any items? Commissioners, yes. Commissioner Garcia.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if there was a way we could find out the communication between the water department and maybe the fire department. They closed down this past weekend. We had to deal with some apartments in our community, including Armando's restaurant, where the water was brown when it came out of this faucet. I called, Matthew was really good. He called me back right away. He told us they were working on it. And then on Monday, the fire department came out and actually said that they had were cleaning out the fire hydrants in our area. And that's what caused the problem. But I think the idea is that somehow, of course, they blame, everybody doesn't look at the fire hydrant. They right away think it's the water department's
Right.
fault. So I got a lot of calls and I was able to talk to the director and to Matthew, and they did follow up on it and they found out some issues. But I just think it's very important that we kind of get the word out that when they're going to do that, maybe we could warn the restaurants, the business people, and maybe the residents, because they panicked. They said they couldn't take a shower. The water was totally brown. So I think if we could just find a better way of communicating with them, and maybe, Mr. Director, maybe you have a way to talk to them, but I just think it's real important that we do that, because I know I got a lot of calls because they know me, so they called, I couldn't help them, but I did at least make sure I followed through. But maybe if we could just have a better communication, or if they're going to do that, that we put a sign out, or that we warn them on there was some way we could warn these people, because they panicked. And it wasn't the water department's fault. It was really the fire department. But, they don't have no way to call the fire department. They called us, so I just thought I'd get that out there, because that's important, that we somehow better communication, maybe, or I don't know what we could do to stop them from the water coming brown, but I'm just saying it's better to at least give them forewarning ahead of time. I know the business Armando's had to shut down. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with the fire commissioner, and you're absolutely right. The fire department, depending on where the firehouse is responsible for maintenance of the hydrants, where they go out and flush them and make sure there's adequate pressure if there is a fire. And sometimes when they do that, they stir up some sediment in the system that gets into the line. But we'll have to find a better way to communicate with, especially businesses that are affected by their actions. How can they communicate that message that this is the month that we're going to be going to every fire hydrant within this district and checking them to make sure that they have adequate pressure and that they're operating as intended, so that when we have a fire, we don't have a tragedy that the fire department shows up and the fire hydrant's not working.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just one question on our meeting schedule. I was looking at my calendar and we have December 18th, 2022. I think that's a Sunday.
Which month?
December 18th. At 2 o'clock. Wednesday. It says Wednesday, but I think that's
Let's check that. I mean, the schedule is the
Yeah,
traditional
So
schedule.
it must
is-
be the 21st. It just says, when I'm looking here, the 18th is a
Our
Sunday.
committees meet on the first Wednesday of the month, and the commission meets on the third Wednesday of the month. So we'll check that out and make sure that it's consistent. All right, any other items from commissioners?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Commissioner Kinlock.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I had a meeting or attended a meeting with the Village CDC along with a number of community partners, Five Alive, West Village, North Village, Indian Village, East Village, the Joseph Berry subdivision in Gold Coast. A number of the residents came to this meeting and had some concerns and issues that they raised regarding some drains as well as sinkholes in the alley. They were centered around a lot of DWSD related issues. And what I suggested, and I would like the director, if he and the team can probably, coordinate a meeting with Mr. Mac Farr, who's, I guess, the head of the CDC, to actually talk about some of what our plans are specifically for some of the footprint, infrastructure footprint over in that area. So, it'd be, it was a great meeting, and I thought it would be good for us to reach out as we're, building and having conversations with community partners.
Yeah, on Monday, I had an hour and a half meeting with Matt Farr and 4 of the CDCs in the area. And we agreed to a plan of action to help relieve them of some of the issues that they're having. So that meeting's already taken place. I'm
I
waiting
had
for
him, I told
them.
him to contact you. I told them actually to contact you, so they did. And as you always do, you have already gotten ahead of it. That's great.
Yeah, we had a very robust meeting, and I was very honest with regards to the things that we could do and some things that would have to be prioritized. But they appreciated the candor, and we've agreed to work together to identify the priority issues and deal with those.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any commissioners have any other items? And thank you, Commissioner Kinlock. All right, item 9 was removed from the agenda. So let's move on to item 10, which is new business. And regretfully, we don't have a consent agenda this month because we were unable to have a quorum at the Finance Committee 2 weeks ago. So these recommendations are coming directly to the board. So the first one is item 220825, a contract with Sourcewell. Commissioners, your pleasure. Commissioner Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the director to approve DWSD contract number 6004479 to utilize the Sourcewell NJPA Cooperative Agreement number 030241-JHN with Johnson Controls Fire Protection for Fire Systems Plan Service for a total contract not to exceed an amount of $270,000 and a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2025.
Support.
It's been moved and seconded. I don't know if there's any need for commentary on this. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is adopted. Item B, 220826, Commissioners.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Kinlock.
I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorize the director to approve DWSD contract number 6004499 with Michigan Cat Division and McAllister Machinery Company, Inc. for parts and repair services for Caterpillar backhoe loaders, front-end loaders, and engine-related equipment for a total contract amount not to exceed $400,000 and a term of 2 years. This also authorizes the director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Commissioner Blackman? All right, any discussion with regard to this item? Ms. Welsh is standing by if we have any questions. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is adopted. Next, item C, 220827, Commissioners.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Coleman.
I'd like to make a motion to the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewer Department to authorize the directors to approve DWSD contract number 6004473 for various Vector parts with Jack Dooney Companies Incorporated for a total contract amount not to exceed $145,307.68 and a term of 2 years. This also authorizes the directors to take such other actions as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is adopted. Item D, 220828, Commissioners. Commissioner Blackman.
Mr. Chair, I would move the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the director to approve amendment number 1 to GWSD contract 6002753 CS 1933 with Johnson Control Security Solutions to provide gate access control services by adding $77,828.02 for a total amount not to exceed $427,828.02 and to extend the term by 6 months through 12/31/22.
It's been moved and it's been supported. Any questions or comments about this contract? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that motion is adopted. Item E, 220829. Commissioners,
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Kinlock.
I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorize the director to approve DWSD contract number 6003971 to piggyback City of Detroit contract number 6002274 with Harrison Harris Ltd. to provide third-party collection services for all DWSD facilities for a duration of 15 months. This is a revenue contract with no payments made to the vendor. The vendor is compensated by retaining 13.2% of all money, all amounts collected. This also authorizes the director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Maybe it would be useful to understand why this contract is different because it's a revenue contract.
Well, it's a standard collections firm contract where they basically eat what they kill.
I see.
And we're not paying them by the hour to try to collect revenues. Whatever their efforts
Collect, they get
yield, they get a
13%.
portion of it and the rest comes to us.
0.2, okay.
And for large customers that owe large amounts of money, the internal legal team at DWSD, we file those lawsuits so that we're not paying out any sort of contingency on those. These are for all the smaller accounts.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Davis.
I might say that that's not a bad rate for us.
That's not a bad rate.
Because a lot of collection firms get more than that.
I credit Jacob Barry from our team, our legal team. He negotiated hard to get that dollar amount
Very
down.
good job.
And the city uses this firm for collecting fines and things for other departments, and they've been very happy with them. They've been very successful.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Then on the motion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is adopted. Next, item F, 220833, Commissioners.
Mr. Chair, I recommend to the Board of Water Commissioners to authorize directors to approve the accompanying sewer disposal system SDS capital improvement program for fiscal year 2023 through 2027. Authorize the directors to approve the fiscal year 2023 capital budget, and also authorize directors to take such other actions as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Is there support?
Support.
Commissioner Davis, questions or comments regarding this contract? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And it is adopted. Item H,
Mr. Chair, I think we need a roll call for this item.
why is that?
It's part of the CIP.
All right. Would you please call the roll?
Chairman Einhauser,
Yes.
Vice Chair Blackman,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia.
All right, that is adopted.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner-
just curious, just for my edification, why did we have to call the roll for that?
I have the same question.
He said it was because of the capital improvement program. Part of the CIP.
Is that in our bylaws? What
Funding,
makes
the funding,
CIP different than anything else we
where the
do?
funding comes from, I think. But anyway, I don't know.
All right, well,
I mean, I was just curious. I'm just.
Yeah.
Yeah, some things require roll call attached, you know what I'm saying? Not just, I'm just not sure if it's, like you said, a funding requirement, you know?
Okay. All right.
We can have
Let's-
it looked up and get
yeah,
the answer.
let's look it up. What are the items that require a roll call vote and which don't? I mean, it's obvious when nobody votes no. It's unanimous, but yeah, let's find out.
Usually the budget, the rates, and the CIP.
Yeah, sometimes they're just required to lay it on the record, yays and nays specific.
Secretary said the budget, the rates, and the CIP are the three that require.
Yeah,
a roll
and
call.
my question is why?
Let's find out.
I just want to understand governance.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
right, yes.
We know the budget and the rates.
Item H, 220837. Commissioners?
Is it G? G?
Pardon me. Oh, G. All right, 22834. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that the Board of Water Commissioners authorizes the director to approve the accompanying water supply system capital improvement program for fiscal years 2023 and through 2027, and authorizes the director to approve the fiscal year 2023 capital budget, and also authorizes the director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote. Roll call vote.
Yeah, any questions or comments? Then please call. Yeah,
CIP.
please call the roll.
Chairman Einhauser,
Yes.
Vice Chair Blackman,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia.
Yes.
All right, and that is adopted. Item H, 2200837. Commissioners, Commissioner Garcia.
Yes, the Board of Directors, the Board of Water Commission for the City of Detroit Water Sewage Department authorized the director to approve the DHDC contract 6004518 for 5 sizes of gate valve parts with EJ USA Inc., I guess, for a total of, and not to exceed $414,522.32 as the terms for 2 years. Also to authorize the director to take any other action that may be necessary to accomplish, I'm sorry, the intent to vote. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Support.
Support.
It's been moved, it's been seconded. Questions or comments? All those in favor of adopting this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is adopted. Next, item I, 220838. Commissioners,
Chairman.
Commissioner Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the director to approve DWSD contract 6004526 with Human Flyers LLC to deliver service interruption notices, door hangers, and provide services to support survey programs for DWSD customers for a period of 3 years at a cost not to exceed $300,000.
Support.
It's been moved, it's been supported. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Garcia.
Okay, I wanted to make sure, I know this contract is for door hangers. Is that it for, to notify customers that by any chance, is this department, is this person, the LLC, a minority contract by any chance? Do we know?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this is a Detroit-owned business,
I believe it is.
minority-owned business. This is not just for service interruption notices. This Human Flyers will also help with the door hangers and outreach for the water affordability program. And that will be discussed on Friday as well as part of our outreach. These are the door-to-door people. I think
Yeah.
the way this is written here
Yes, it makes it look.
may
like
be
it's just-
alarming to some, but that's poorly written. So
Yeah.
they are door-to-door outreach people with
Here.
any types of notices.
I just want, thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely a local-based business. Yeah, very good. A young company as well. Yeah.
Very good. Then item J, 220844. Commissioners,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the director to enter into an agreement and grant of easement for stormwater drainage outlet pipe between Lakeshore Distribution LLC, Great Lakes Water Authority, and Detroit Water and Sewage Department.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. We're granting an easement between a private company and Great Lakes. Just a quick summary, what's going on?
Yeah, why are we granting the easement?
Jacob Barry is on vacation today, but I
okay.
believe they are running an asset across property. It's owned by Detroit, it's owned by the city, but it's area that's managed and leased by the Great Lakes Water Authority. So the Water Authority is the one that's entering into the easement, but we sign off as well. But it's a private company going over our land with their asset.
Yes, it's land that
Cities
we
all
have
the
bare
time, but
legal
it was-
title to, but it's subject to the lease.
Right.
And so it's controlled by Great Lakes. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Good question.
All those in favor of granting this easement, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is adopted. Item K, 220846.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Kinlock?
I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorize the director to approve DWSD contract number 6004557 with Lakeshore Global Corporation for sewer and catch basin cleaning, inspections and maintenance services in Detroit for a total contract amount not to exceed $3 million and a term of 3 years. This also authorizes the director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
All right, it's been moved. And is there
Second.
support?
Yes.
Commissioner Blackman? Commissioners, any questions or comments about this contract?
Yes,
Yes,
not the
Commissioner
contract
Blackman.
itself, but the work itself.
Okay,
So what schedule do we have for this work to be completed? And it will be a certain part of the city or the entire city?
Sam Smalley, Chief Operating Officer. We are going to hit every district. We know where we have existing block basin alley or block basin street complaints. We also know where we have sewers that are in need of immediate attention. We're going to address those first. We have a preventive maintenance strategy for the rest of the districts throughout the city. We're going to cover all the districts and we're going to rotate as much as we possibly can with this resource.
And if I may just clarify from my own understanding, in addition to paying attention to the ones we know about, we're going to be inspecting to make sure we get all of the basins. I don't know if we're going to be televising them or how we're determining what we do next.
Well, the ones that we know have issues already, we've already mentioned those. And then we move into preventive maintenance cleaning. So we have 2,400 miles of sewer main, 24 inches and below, located throughout the entire city. We want to clean every one of those sewer mains on a rotating basis of about 5 to 7 years, which exceeds industry standards. We were able to clean 500 miles last year alone, including 200 miles even before the storm of June 25th, 26th hit. So what this is a rotating preventive maintenance schedule. We know which mains we cleaned which year. We're going to rotate through every council district as part of that 5 to 7 year rotation.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments with regard to this contract? Hearing none, all those in favor of adoption, please say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? And that contract is adopted. The next item on our agenda, item 11, is the director's metrics. Mr. Director, do you have a report?
Mr. Chair, if I could just ask the board members to go through the report, and there's nothing inherently different about this report than others. And if they have any questions or concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them at the next meeting.
Commissioners, any questions or comments? I strongly recommend that we do review the report and the statistics therein. But I take what the director says at its face value. All right, we come to item 12, comments by commissioners. Do any commissioners have comments they would like to make? Commissioner Blackman.
This is probably more of a question than a comment. In terms of our water main breaks, in some cases, the water main is breaking within the same vicinity as one we've just repaired. What means do we have of making sure that we're looking at possibility of other breaks occurring where we've already done work?
Commissioner, what we do, operations takes the lead in repairing water main breaks. And we have applications where on our tablets and smartphones, we will enter certain information into that. That information is captured in that application and then transferred to engineering. So if, for example, the technicians that are repairing the main notice that the wall of the pipe has grown brittle or excessively thin, they will note that, and that will elevate that main's replacement on the engineering's capital replacement program.
So what is their scheduling for televising the mains, Sam?
Well, we televise these sewer mains primarily when there's a problem on the operational side. Engineering is doing complete asset management, neighborhood by neighborhood, starting with North Rosedale Park and Cornerstone. That has expanded to many other neighborhoods throughout the city. And what they do is they do a complete inspection and assessment of the sewer mains. They provide interventions such as dig ups and lining on an as needed basis. As has been previously reported, we find that we need to line approximately 25% of that which engineering inspects. So instead of just lining everything, every sewer in a neighborhood, we're lining about 25%, which will allow us to address more miles in the long run. On the water main side, they're doing inspection and assessment by doing leak detection with acoustics. They're analyzing all of the data in our system, including break history and the application data that the field techs enter into our work order system, especially when they notice either, thin walled pipe or the pipe is very brittle, things of that nature.
If I might follow up on that, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
You're well familiar with this customer and have been very helpful in getting her issues addressed. But the address at 4221 Fullerton has had 2 water main breaks in a very short period of time. Could you comment on why that might happen? I should
The
say
average-
Fullerton and Holmer. I should not give the address.
The average age of our water system is 95 years old.
Average.
Our system is old.
I know that.
And we're doing the best we can. Even if the field crews were to notice that that particular water main needed immediate intervention, we still have to get a permit through the state of Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy to replace that main. That process can take weeks or a month or so. So we don't have the ability to just replace a main on site. It has to be permitted through Eagle.
That's unfortunate because that process can take too long. But thank you for explaining it. I would just like to, since we are in this area of comments by commissioners, is that where we are?
Yes.
I would like to express the customer's extreme pleasure at how her situation was handled. She's 96 years old, and the department responded very, very expeditiously to her concerns, and She was very pleased with, and had great commendations for the customer service people that she dealt with, as well as how attentive the people who were making the repairs. She was very, very, very complimentary, so I wanted to pass that along.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Kinlock?
Okay, I think it's also like Vice Chair Blackman had just did. I think it's important for us to commend the department when we hear, of course, concerns and then the compliments and the gratitude that citizens have told us about. And I absolutely want to make mention of, I get numerous of, the department response to a lot of concerns. We hear a lot at our meetings, some very troubling issues, but the department responds rapidly when they hear various concerns. And all of us have been around the city a long time, and I take my hat off to the response time by this department. Specifically, I've gotten the resident who had water coming out of the front lawn was absolutely very appreciative of the department's response, and they respond all time of the night. So we absolutely take our hat off. Well, I take my hat off to the department and the staff for a job well done in responding to constituents' concerns. Yep.
Right.
And thank you, Bev.
Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Real briefly, I know the hour is late, but I just wanted to take just a couple of seconds to commend you, Mr. Chairman, on, you always do a fine job at handling our meetings, but especially today for doing the right thing. We always try to strike a balance between public comment and giving people an opportunity to speak, but it should never become personal. And I thank you, and I know all of our colleagues thank you as well. You do a fine job. Thank you.
That's why I nominated you.
Well, thank you for that. And it's understandable that people don't come here, people come here because they have problems and they're upset. And that's understandable. And I think we have no problem with people complaining about us, but you don't keep, it doesn't become personal. So I appreciate that. Any other comments from commissioners? Comments from the chair? I just want to echo what Commissioner Kinlock and Commissioner Blackman said. You know, we all are out in the community. We hear from people. We rarely hear that we're doing a good job. Everybody gets up in the morning and turns on the faucet and the water comes out and they don't give a second thought to what happened for that water to come out. I got a call from a friend with regard to a building on Hamilton below, I think it was below Finkel. And I called the director. The crew was out there. There was water filling in the basement, and the question was similar to what we heard earlier today, whether there was a way to shut off the water from the inside, whether it had to be from the outside, and it turned out that it did have to be from the outside. Friday night, the director went out there himself, and the matter was taken care of. We can say that that's not extraordinary. That's why the department is here. Nonetheless, there are a lot of aspects of city service where they don't match that kind of a response rate. And I don't mean to denigrate any other parts of the city, but that is simply the truth. So we're very grateful for the director and the team here for being responsive to citizens' complaints. Okay.
I just asked Mr. Smalley to give me a call regarding Livernois and 6 Mile.
Oh. And we had the same issue. I meant to bring it up. We had a member of the public from Virginia Park, and Virginia Park had an issue, and Mr. Smalley and the director have responded to that, that we hear about. So it's very, very gratifying that we're able to I mean, the system's old.
Yeah.
And that's the system we've got. In fact, my question is, how many cave-ins typically do we experience in a year?
Havens?
Yeah, where the water main, the water main fails and the street collapses.
Oh, there's quite a bit of them in our area.
Really?
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
Mr. Smalley, he might have that number, or just ballpark it, because he's still on, yeah.
He's still
Yes.
there.
I am still
Yeah,
on.
and I have called and I've taken pictures of that, but it's, you know, I don't know what it is and they haven't been able to get around to it. But I did call and they put more barriers around there because I
Mhm.
worry about children riding their
Sure.
bikes. But I think that there's, for whatever reason I think since we had the flood last year, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I see more and more of that caving in the street. I don't know if it just took a beating or what it was, but there's quite a bit of them in our area. So I just thank God that they're coming out and putting barriers because I don't want anybody, because I guess we're responsible if somebody falls in, but I just think that it's just real
Until
important that there's
repaired.
barriers there, so thank you, Mr. Director, for taking care of that and all the staff, because that's very important.
Yeah,
I
Mr.
don't know how many cave-ins.
Mr. Smalley, do you know how many, typically how many cave-ins we have a year?
Yes, I can answer that question, Mr. Chairman. In an average year, we have 1,500 water main breaks, plus or minus 200. The plus or minus depends on the temperature in the summer and also how frigid it gets in the winter. We can get as many water main breaks in both the peak of summer as well as when the water temperature in the Detroit River hits 36 degrees, that really accelerates the number of breaks. Often water main breaks are considered cave-ins, but we count those differently. In an average year, we get about 300 sinkholes that we have to investigate. However, in 2021, with the historic flood, we had over 300 appear between June 26th and July 15th.
Oh, my goodness.
July 15th, because we had another historic level storm on July 16th that created more. So we are working with FEMA to get about approximately 150 of those addressed. But unfortunately, we have to put out a new contract that meets federal bidding requirements so that we can address that population of sinkholes.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Support.
Seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Stay cool, stay hydrated, as
Yes.
Mr. Williams told us.